How's it going, everyone? T-Various Sailor Peeps here for part 2 of this special 10,000 plus subscriber event. I'm still in shock that you guys actually find the stuff I post here entertaining. So I had decided...
Of course you are entertaining, human. Those who do not think so are foolish to think that you are not entertaining.
Papyrus, what are you doing here? I thought Sam sent you on vacation.
He did, but I came back early. I can't leave here for too long, or else everyone will start missing me, and I'll start missing everyone as well.
Very true.
So will you be needing my assistance, human?
Actually, for this video, I would like to talk about myself by drawing my life.
Oh? Well, this shall be most interesting. Please, go ahead and get started. I have some spaghetti here for everyone, if they would like something to snack on during your storytelling and drawings.
Spaghetti away, Pap. Also, please be warned, some of the drawings, or technically all of the drawings, will turn out like shit, so bear with me, ladies and gents. Anyhow, without further ado, let us get started. I was considered an interesting child. I was born on Thanksgiving Day in Texas, mainly taken care of by my mother, but my dad was able to take part in my life. The reason he wasn't there during the delivery was because he was in the army at the time, and he was already stationed somewhere else. Thankfully, we were all together before we moved to Germany, where my dad was stationed next. I was very little when this all took place, so I didn't remember a whole lot that went about until I moved back to the States. After my dad was discharged, he moved us all to Colorado to live with his family. I remained in Colorado for most of my life, and see it as my official home. I even spent most of my schooling there too. Like most kids, I was often told I could be whatever I want to be. And I wanted to be a lot of things. However, like how time can be, it also affected my thinking as well as everyone else's. Around 1st or 2nd grade, my parents had gotten a divorce, but it really didn't have a big impact on me, aside from how much time I could spend with my dad. So whenever I do get a chance to spend time with Dad, he would always make it special and would often find stuff to do that we can do for fun. As for Mom, she makes sure that I have the support I need in order to go on with life, and would often try to encourage me to follow my dreams. At first, like most kids growing up, I was told that the sky is the limit when it comes to dreaming and trying to figure out what I want to do when I'm all grown up. However, it doesn't really help once reality sinks in and negativity has to be forced into your life. I had a lot of ideas of what I wanted to be when I grew up, from being a teacher to being a superhero, being a business owner, and to being a professional wrestler. But as life went on, it still became hard for me to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. But right as soon as I was approaching high school, I decided I would go into computer programming and try to learn as much as I can about computers, as well as a few other things like accounting, orchestra, a little bit of graphic arts, and a lot more. However, like many schools, it is hard to do so when schools and school districts put limits on elective classes. Thankfully, I managed to find the classes that will help me out a lot in life, but I will admit that there was 1 or 2 classes that I used as coaster classes. Once I officially started high school, I was introduced to YouTube as well as the world of video editing. I started off with slideshows before I worked my way up to editing with legitimate video clips. And at the time, I enjoyed making fan-made music videos of different games, anime, cartoons, and whatnot, and yada yada yada. Most of them kind of range from Sailor Moon to Kingdom Hearts to the Tekken series and a hell of a lot more. Around that time, I started doing some role-playing on social media to help out with keeping my creativity going, as well as explore other stuff and meet new people, and also try to get rolling with some more video content as well as some fresh ideas. And also to kind of keep my anonymity at a good level so that people don't be all into it. As I got older, I kept talking with more and more people throughout the internet, and it did concern my mother, but thankfully I never got kidnapped or anything. Rather, it was just a good way to interact with others outside the city that I live in as well as outside of school. However, thanks to the oh-so wonders of life, I have been learning a little bit more about myself as well, and I ended up coming out as bisexual. Yes, peeps, I am bi. And I like the dudes and the chicks, legitimately. My mom was the first one that I had told, and at first she thought I was just going through a phase, but mainly because of the time, One, I was a teenager, and two, she didn't really believe in bisexuality, but she did believe in gay and straight. But don't worry, she managed to be able to realize what bisexuality is and not really a phase for everybody. A lot of my friends have also accepted me for who I am, and those that really didn't either just said nothing or had disappeared. And for those that kind of accept me, big middle finger to you. Ha 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 ha. I know my middle finger kind of sucked in this job. I was able to graduate high school and move on to college to get my bachelor's in computer science, with the programming emphasis. And while I was preparing, I did more video editing, but I felt like my channel at the time was too bland and I wanted to change my YouTube username. At the time, it was impossible to change it, like literally, YouTube would not let me change it. So I started up a new channel, and also I got some help from fellow YouTuber Nova Chrysalis to help me out with a new name. She had came up with the name T-Various Sailor Piece. Reminder, this has no space in between it. And the name actually came from my Sailor Moon original character that I had created. Yeah, I know, I was one of those dorks. Yes, shut up. Anyways, and also plus it's giving me a feeling that this probably will be the name that peeps may be able to remember me by. I also did some fan dubbing as well, with my first microphone being a dinky little battery-powered MP3 player. Like, literally, one of those MP3 players where you have to actually change out the battery and not the cooler ones where you can just recharge it. After graduating with my bachelor's, I had started to take a liking to creepypastas. Oddly, I was disturbed by some of them before they grew on me. However, I later found out that enjoying horror stories, whether it be by books, movies, or video games, is all genetic from my mother's side.
Does that explain why you prefer to be friends with someone who keeps stealing my spaghetti sauce?
I said that I would restock for you, you idiot! I just needed it for my own cooking.
Well, it's better being friends with him than being caught in a bad crowd full of people. And what I mean by bad, I mean by doing drugs, being a slut, dropping out of school, getting preggo, etc., you get the idea. Anyhow, I enjoy creepypasta stories and felt like it was a good way to explore other stuff and learn who else has sick and twisted sense of humor like I do. Surprisingly, that got me to make a few new friends along the way, and years later, surprisingly, I ended up becoming friends with one of the authors. As time went on, finding work in my expertise was a bit of a pain, and between jobs, I would be donating blood plasma to keep my money rolling. Even though I felt like I was doing a good deed, I still felt like I was not doing enough, not just by helping out my mom, but also I felt like I can't really discover myself a lot more. Eventually, I gave up on the job hunting, and I decided to go back to school for my master's in information systems, which includes computer science, but in a more of a business kind of way. The weird thing, however, after I signed up for classes, my YouTube account got struck and shut down due to supposed copyright infringement. Sadly, I couldn't do anything about it because it pretty much locked it and would not let me do anything. But thankfully, I had a backup account set up months before and did some changes to make it into my new primary account. After I got started with school, I had applied for a job as an electronics tester, thinking it would be a good time killer as well as being paid while I take my classes, which were all online. Soon enough, that hobby ended up turning into an official job. Well, more like a career now. And stuff was going through really smoothly, but there were bumps hitting the road. I'm not going to really go into too much detail, but thankfully there were some good ends that had happened. One of those good things was getting my big start in actual voice acting. While I was still working and going to school, I was asked by fellow YouTuber, the Sega Scourge, to do a quick audition for a series that he and the Triple G Beast were working on. Some of you may know what it is, but for others that are unfamiliar, it's called GTA 5: The Zombie Attack Legacies. I decided to go for it and see how it pans out. Thankfully, both guys seemed to like my voice work and kept me on board for the rest of the season, and kept me on for this current season. During that time, when I didn't have to worry about homework, I would be working on different videos to try to keep my channel alive. But I was also trying to be very careful with all these freaking rules so I don't get any more strikes. Even thankfully to this day, no strikes. As for the bad bumps I had to deal with, I managed to pull through and finally graduate with my master's degree. But I remained where I currently am at with work since, well, the owner probably would not let me leave or quit. But I also try to do more dubs and other kinds of videos as well. Sadly, at the beginning of this year, I had hit a very massive life roadblock to where it screwed with my mentality, my emotions, and my health. I also felt like a lot of people started to disappear from my life with little to no explanation. When I mean by disappear, I mean by like cutting contact or just not wanting to communicate in any way, shape, or form. I had to keep reminding myself, as well as some of my family members, that either they'll come back for forgiveness or they're just not meant to be in my life anymore because of their own stupidity. So during my recovery time, I decided to check out a certain game that one of my brothers had kept nagging at me to play. Some of you should know what it is by now.
You mean...
Yep. If you guys can't guess by the skeleton hanging out with me, I started getting into Undertale.
Even in darkest of times, there is always a bright light in video games.
But yeah, I had to watch some of the gameplays from some famous YouTubers had did before, and I managed to buy the game and play it for myself. After getting into it a little bit more, I started watching some of the comic dubs of Undertale and figured that would be a really good return tactic for my channel. As my health got better, I started to dub one comic from DeviantArt as a way to help express my emotions, and also give me an excuse to voice Fly the Flower. I thought it was a good start and figured I would stick to comics for a while. And then I was given a birthday request to do another Undertale comic, followed by a series of comics which inspired me to do compilations. However, it was that first compilation video that I did that brought in more subscribers. I thought I was hallucinating at first when I saw my sub count grow, but I realized that they really like what I did. After some thinking, I decided to stick with what I got for a while and try to do other stuff, if I can get myself to do so, while the sub count continued to grow. I still see some haters here and there, as well as my videos not getting the recognition that they deserve, but it did not discourage me from continuing along with what I like to do with my channel. I had also met some new friends, as well as those that would like to voice act with me. After a while, I started reconnecting with some peeps, but I had to be wary of certain people, just in case, mainly because I have a big fear of being used by others that I thought I could trust, mainly because it had happened to me before, as well as many others that I usually spend time with, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, however, I continued to get inspiration to proceed with video editing and felt like I've done something that may help me out with the future, as well as being able to actually bring smiles to those that like to check out certain videos and whatnot. Now today, I am still working for that same company, testing out electronics and taking care of their social media accounts. But I also see myself sticking around with YouTube for a good long while, at least until they decide to shut down somehow. Anyhow, I could not have reached this far without all of you, and I thank each and every one of you guys. You all rock.
And now, to end this video, with hugs.
Papyrus, not so tight.
You deserve it. You have worked very hard and should be rewarded for such work and such passion put into your projects. Now accept more hugs.
This is too very super piece, and I can't breathe.
Uh-oh, I made the human faint. Well, better get her some spaghetti for when she wakes up.